not. Shark's telling me to put my glasses on. I just basically dropped the other one out over there. Just dropped in another one. There's no clamps holding it down. Click OK. And it's going to go through here, and it's going to laser in just the text in the pieces. And the reason I do that is simply because when you got 6 sides and they're all the same length and width, or very close to it, it gets really confusing. And so I learned if I label them and keep them, the top's up, which goes up, and the text is upright. When I go around it and read it, then it just makes it a whole lot easier to do that. So I'll quickly run this through here, and I'll put the 6 pieces in there and run this laser part on there, and then I'll do the 1/8 inch bits and get them going on that. It is 7:30 in the morning, so I won't be using the 1/8 inch bit cutter while people are sleeping, but the laser doesn't make any real noise. The outside vent is, of course, venting the laser smoke outside, and so that gate's running good. And going to town hills, so that's setting at about 1 minute and 19 seconds there. So we'll say 1.5 minutes. Let's see here. And in the confusing of switching parts, this might seem a little slow, but it saves time in confusion in the back. So it's labeled them all, and it took 1 minute and 49 seconds. We'll get that pulled out, load up another one. Alright, making sure all them panels are all the same size. Same thing, this just makes it easy to pop them in. Sometimes they're a little rough. Sometimes I'll use a popsicle stick or a craft stick to shim them out on some of them that I'm going to be cutting that aren't quite as critical as this. They're a little bit looser in the jig, and I'll use that jig in there. So I'll get these quickly lasered and move on. But there's the Atom Stack going to town. Hybrid lasering at work, and all off the same settings. CNC machine is a cool device, and there's my enclosure. It's just foam, but it does a good job of containing the smoke and the noise. It definitely eliminates the smoke and the dust, but the noise I could do a little bit better, maybe put a little bit air space in the box, but that's the high-pitched noise. Most of the time it didn't really bother me. While that's in there lasering, this is what I use to heat my shop on the cold days. It's just a 20-pound, and that'll last me generally a season. If I'm out here every day for 8 hours, no, it won't last a season. But if I'm only out here for 2 or 3 hours, 3-4 times a week, it'll generally last a season. But it's $17-18. But now they're $22 with the Biden thing. But come on, Trump, get in there, drill, baby, drill. So let's get that gas down and get things a little less money. But anyway, that little torpedo propane Mr. Heater does a good job. You got to watch where it's blowing, and because if you're not careful and it's laying on the ground, it'll melt a hole in your vacuum pipe that you have on your hose reel. And speaking from experience, of course. And then on the other side of it is back over here is the electric heater up there. I have that on a breaker, so if I want heat and I don't need a whole lot, I just need to maintain, I'll use that little 220 electric heater with a fan on it, and of course it's blowing right here at the CNC. But between the two of them, it works good. And then I have a infrared heater that I use for models and playing with derby cars. If I want to cure paint in the winter months and I want to speed up, then it's a little infrared electric heater. Also, I have one of them in my RV. It's a great little heater, safe, and it works out good. So anyway, let me go ahead and change the laser around. And there's slight etching. The smoke that comes off, it's not bad, but it will fill the shroom up, the smoke, after you let it run a little while. So I can already smell the smoke from it. And even like I got my dust collector going without it being in the hood, I'm going to, but it'll make your shop smell like burnt wood. So putting that closure back on, it makes all the difference. I got the lights turned off on this side, so my video is probably not quite as bright as normal. And of course, I light up with the LEDs, and LEDs make all the difference in the world. Let me go over here and turn this on over here. So LEDs, you know, they do a good job, and a whole lot better than the old porcelain 2 lights in here. I mean, it was so dark in here you couldn't see anything, so the LEDs really brighten it up for taking pictures. And anyway, so the dust collector, the closure, I don't really want to route, I don't want to laser anything without having that hood on there. I don't like the mess all the way around. I can see out here, and there's virtually no dust in my shop and that kind of thing. And then in the months, it's already done, but in the winter months when it's really, really cold, instead of venting outside, if I'm not using fumes and it's just dust, I'll vent it back, the heat back into the room with this bag. And it basically, I'll just slip that dowel up right there, that little dowel right there. It goes up and it redirects the air back into the bag. And there you go. Always been almost religious about keeping that laser focus in where it's exactly supposed to be. That thing's going around there etching that stuff, and it's an inch out of focus. I mean, it's an inch out of calibration as far as where it's going. So, you know, got my glasses on for sure, but you know, you can see the laser beam coming down through there, and that's kind of a cool thing to observe it doing. Of course, I have my laser glasses on, but I had to move it up because it was hitting my little toggles, and so I had to go a little bit out of focus. And of course, this is etching at the very bottom on the waste board, just to let me know where these pieces are going to be cut. And I just thought I'd run it because it didn't take very long to run it on the waste board. So I'm going to run a couple tests on the laser here as well for another project. All right, well, I got 6 pieces, nicely lasered. The 20 watts a whole lot faster than the little 3.8 watt. Anyway, it's done a clean job. I used a downcut bit for the cuts. And I'm going to use a 1/8 inch downcut bit to clean up the corners. And I really don't know that I need to do that, but I'm going to. It'll make the corners a little square. And then it'll go around here and cut the pockets, all the stuff that it needs to cut. There's my 4 pieces there. You can see they're pretty good. Little fuzzies in there. Get down here to this last one where it cut out all the parts. This is the machining that I haven't left yet to do. There's a hole that goes through here, and this will cut out. So I need 2 deals in there. This will get a cut out. This will get a cut out. And so I have 3 cutouts, and then of course it'll go around here and cut out on these lines for the pieces. So these outer lines are what the pieces are, and it'll go around and do that. And so that's it. So anyway, so far so good. All right, that was all of the cutouts of the 1/8 end mills, all to a pass. It took 12 minutes and 14 seconds, and there it is. It made out of there, so a little over 12 minutes per section. I'm going to pull it out and have a look at it before I put the rest of the 5 in there. All right, so far so good. Let that one in there. That's with 2 of them pin nails in there. And as you can see, that's just in there. Keeps them in there solid. Here is my pieces. Let's go over here in the shade and have a look at it. So the sun isn't quite as bright. Anyway, now looking at it, biggest part looks really good. It's a little bit of sanding on that. And there's your back side. It's a downcut bit. Did a good job of cleaning that out. It also went around here and cleaned these out per se. All these little grooves in there, so it kind of cleaned out anything that was left in there. And of course I'll lightly sand that a little bit and get it going. And this thickness here is pretty good. I need it to at least be a 1/4 inch for the panels, for the slides to work. So that all looks pretty good. So overall, we're good to go. Let me go ahead and load up the other 5 and get them done. Alright, I graded my lumber, both kinds, from the thickest down to the middle size and then down onto the thinnest. Again, this is all lumber that I resawed from logs. So it's been, resawed on a bandsaw sled. And, it's pretty good lumber. And it's been air dried. But anyway, it's not been any servicing done on it. I've got to go down to a 1/2 inch. So basically, I'll get it all down to start off right at this thickest one right here, and then I'll run this part through, cycle these down to where I get them down to about this size, and then I'll work through the rest of them. So that's kind of what I'm doing right there. So let's get started doing that. I've brought them all down to the same thickness, planer, run high speed. That's running. Cranked out a 1/4 or 2 on that. I'll crank it down and run them all through, and they'll all do the same thing. Well, an hour and a half later, we've got 6 sides done, and they're over here. These don't take very long at all. These are like 4 or 5 minutes a piece, so they'll go pretty quick, and just one bit. So anyway, so there we are, the planing. I got the boards all planed down to 1/2 inch, and they're ready to be glued back together in the panels. And the panels need to be the size of that up there, which is 13, looks like 1/8 by 18 1/8. So those are like a little over 19. So we'll get them glued together, and then probably glue them up in like 3-foot sections, and then I'll resaw them down and glue them back up again. So anyway, any other remainders? So there we go. That all came out pretty good, and that I was able to plane all those boards, get all that run in about the same amount of time, and then sweep the floor. So nice thing about the CNC when it's in enclosure, all the mess stays inside the box. And so there it is back in there. All I gotta do is run the shop back over there, clean it out, and there we go. We'll be ready for some more stuff in the morning.